Actually, I lied to you. Ain't no commercial. Go to the next one.
Okay, the next song is Deja Vu by the band TXT. Let me get that timestamp before I start talking. Can you just give me the timestamp? Just push up a little bit there.
3:22:37.
22. Okay. TXT, Deja Vu, DJ Revo up in here. He says this is a boy group put together by HYBE, BTS, and Le Seraphim's company. Their name stands for Tomorrow X Together. This song is also written by Hitman Bang along with Slow Rabbit, Martin, K-O-R. I think it has less written credits than the other songs you've reacted to from this company because it is closer to the ballad style soft rock that was Hitman Bang's original songwriting style back in the 1990s. Their fandom name is MOA, which stands for Moments of Alwaysness. Their ages range from 25 to 22.
Moments of Alwaysness?
Yeah.
What a fascinating phraseology. All right, so TXT, what now?
Deja Vu.
All right, this is for Revo.
Concepts.
This is for Revo.
Deja Vu.
Here we go, guys. Deja Vu. Revo in this bitch. What's the name of the band again? TXT, Deja Vu. A little bit clippy. I'm going to let the this little bitrate thing even itself out. And then once that happens, we'll go right back into it, dear listener. Right back into it. Remember, subscribe to Rumble. Subscribe to Rumble.
You're going to miss out on some fun stuff.
When we do our movie watch-alongs, our show watch-alongs, all those are going to be straight through, just like normal Vin and Sori channel shit. Only because we're going to be doing it on Rumble and other platforms, we're going to be able to do it like completely without getting struck or whatever. So don't forget, subscribe to Rumble. When you hear us talking about, oh, that was great, blah, 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 you're not going to be able to access it on this channel. You are going to be able to access it on Rumble. Okay.
Right.
And apparently The Warning loves TXT. So
oh, really?
That's important because The Warning, I think, is
they're a cool band.
The biggest band out right now, in my opinion. In my opinion, definitely the most talented.
In your opinion, that is the only one that matters, babe.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's literally the foundation of this channel.
Yep.
Is about me and my opinions. Yeah.
Me. Wait, him.
All right, guys, here we go.
Deja Vu, TXT.
Deja Vu,
let's check it out.
Bitch. Hold on. Let me get on my shit. See, I'm going like extra hard.
He's going extra.
I'm going extra hard for my man.
Revo. It's his birthday. What can be done?
It's his birthday. So
geez, babe.
Look at the stream key. Just wait. Watch what's about to occur.
Oh, I know what you're gonna do.
See, so now it looks like a watermark. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I still hate how big it is. It's like half my face is.
Yeah, but then we're gonna put the lyrics on top of there.
All right. So should I move over here?
Nope, you don't, because they're not seeing that border, right?
No, but they're seeing half my face is light.
This is what they're seeing.
Half my face is not.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If only I could change it. Like
it'd be really interesting, like if you had another person to work with you.
Imagine.
Yeah, like that actually existed.
Imagine.
It's like you're only talking about your face, how it looks to you.
Yeah, but you're the one that's in control of it. You don't care.
I don't care about a lot of things.
Obviously.
Let's go.
Obviously. Let's go. Deja Vu.
Deja
TXT. Let's check it out.
Deja Vu. Where did you go, TXT?
Ready yourselves.
Ready yourselves, you losers. Hey, Middle, let me know about this watermark effect with the album art. Let me know what you think about it. All right, here we go. I'm actually pretty chill.
그저 무서웠었어 아직 시작에서 기다리는 너를 두고 배우 속에 Morse code 오랜 promise 희열 모르던 나의 눈물 내 애나 뭐야 You and I 약속의 별빛 아래서 먼지 쌓인 우리의 왕관 앞에서 영혼의 세계는 꿈처럼 다시 영원히 돼줘 나를 불러줘 기억해 날 찾은 애써 나의 미래 너야 Say my name Deja vu, I'm about to 똑같이 긴 여행 속에 너와 나눈 슬픔은 my clarity 너의 눈물 곁으로 초라하게 오는 순간에도 넌 online 무너진 베어틈엔 너와 나의 place of promise 시계 되지 영원의 베기 날 기다려줬던 넌 기억해 yeah. 마침내 찾을래서 나의 미래 너야 Say my name 수달의 약속처럼 널 세게 안을 거야 마치 Deja Vu 넌 마치 Deja Vu Say it Say it Say it Say it louder 약속해 내 판을 반복해도 나의 미래 너야 이제 baby 신부처럼 반짝일 널 세게 안을 거야 마치 Deja Vu 넌 마치 Deja Vu Say it Say it Say it Say it louder
Okay, I think.
I love Jet.
Why?
Jet's like, I'm not 4B.
4B?
That's the Korean ladies. They're out of the dating pool and all that stuff. That's what I was talking about. You know, that whole
That's what
movement.
they call it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Have you?
I didn't hear what it's
You're
called.
talking about it all
I know,
night.
but I don't listen. This is what I do.
I
When
know.
we watch shows, I don't listen to the people's names, and I don't know why I do that, but I literally block that out. So he'll be like, yeah, you know, so-and-so. I'm like, what? He has to tell me what they look like. For some reason, the names don't. So when you talk about the movement, I know what it is. I don't know what it's called.
I think that the things that I say are very important to me, but I don't think that they're as important to you.
I think that what happens is that you put out a lot of information and my mind grabs some of it and can't take all of it. So I remember when I was in school, I made a decision that I wasn't going to remember everything because it was stressing me out too much. And so I think I did something that now like I said, I'm watching a show. I'm invested in the show. It would be nice to know what the characters' names are, but my mind won't take in the names.
That's weird.
I hate it, actually, but I think it is I do remember when I made the decision. And I made the decision after I was given another bad grade after I tried so hard. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not trying that hard just to have that score. Mm-hmm. And then it's just not worth it for me. So then I said, I'm going to remember stuff just enough to pass the test. And then I'm going to... But anyway, I like this one. I think that Emily
in this bitch. What's up, Emily?
Hi. I think I don't know. Maybe that's too controversial to say. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the female K-pop bands because the girls look so young and they don't make themselves look older. They make themselves look younger by putting pigtails and miniskirts. And I can't separate that from the barely legal stuff and how popular that is. So I'm always worried about them being objectified by people. So there's always a side of me that's like uncomfortable with the pigtails and the short skirts and the sexy movements when they look so young. Where it's with the boy bands, I don't feel that. I don't have to feel like that sort of like mom energy to like protect somebody. So, controversial maybe. But yeah, I'm a mom, so yeah. But I like this one because it's a...
All right, now, say that again in shorter form. I'm trying to digest it. So you don't like I'm conflicted because, like, pigtails are appropriate on a 14-year-old.
Right. But these girls aren't 14. These girls are in their 20s, and they look really young.
They range from 25 to 17 or whatever.
Right, but they look... Like, even the ones when they were up in their, like, 20s and stuff, pigtails are appropriate for, like, that's more of, like, a little girl thing. So they already, to me, Korean girls already look younger than they are. So Korean women look younger than they are. So, because these are women that we're talking about, because some are in their 20s. And so when they're doing, like, the pigtail thing and then they're, like, doing the sexy thing, that whole like barely legal thing is they're legal, but they don't look like they are. And so I worry about them being objectified because they're in the short skirts, they're doing the sexy dance moves, and they've got pigtails. And so I don't like those lines being crossed. For me personally, I'm like, the mom side of me is like, I'm not with that. So I always have this like going on in the back of my head when I'm seeing their videos. I'm always like, they're not all like that. Sometimes they're in different sorts of outfits, but there are other times where they're flipping stuff up and doing different things, and I'm like, well, I just feel uncomfortable with how young they look doing those
But see, this is why my friend Runaway Siren would say this is why we need to separate from men. Because now the girl's got to worry about her hairstyle and shit when she's singing. She can't just be a talented person and get up there and sing. Now she's got to worry about her hairstyle and all the rest of it. I would probably be a separatist if I was a feminist, like a third, fourth wave feminist, for sure. Like, because I don't know. Again, I can't get over the fact that, okay, take God out of the picture. Nature has necessitated male-female relationships for the species to continue. So I don't think I would probably be in the 4B thing, but I definitely would. I would be a lot closer to the 4B thing than, the opposite of that, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
I ran away countless times just out of fear, leaving you waiting at the starting line, the Morse code amidst the ruins. Man.
I loved this song.
An old promise, not knowing the reason for my tears. My anemia?
Wait.
I think that's anemia. That's probably what she's trying to say.
No, this is a guy. This one was all men, right? And
weren't we just talking about the girls dancing in the...
Oh, yeah. But I said that because I'm like, I was going to say, like, I think I enjoy the boy band side of the K-pop stuff more. And then I said that might be because the mom side of me is out feeling like this protective role over the girls, where I don't feel that when the boys are doing.
I was watching this actually Runaway Siren posted it. It was on Islam, and the woman was in a burqa, and the imam was castigating her. He said to her, basically, you're causing all the men to whatever. And then she's like, what are you talking about? I'm literally in a head to... She was almost in a burqa. Now, there's this thing called the niqab, Niqab, that you basically put around your face. And there's literally a face mask to where the eyes won't come out. You see Sori's eyes, obviously, they're extremely striking. There's that famous picture of that girl in Afghanistan, striking eyes. And so the sheikh was saying to her, this is your problem because, yes, your arms are covered up and your legs are covered up, blah, 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 but your eyes are not. And because of that, whatever. And I witnessed this myself. Jenna.
Right, yeah.
And I was with my Muslim friend, and my Muslim friend offered to buy my American friend a hijab because she was distracting him at work with her blonde hair. And so he was, it's just unbelievable. All right.
So what are you saying? But you're saying you disagree with what I said.
Well, some of this has to do with the fact that you grew up sheltered. I mean, I grew up watching Britney Spears, and that was the get up. Britney Spears video, Hit Me Baby One More Time. She was in a Catholic schoolgirl outfit, short skirt above her knees. It was shorter than the skirt that you wore to that Christmas thing. And then she had the pigtail thing going on. Mm-hmm. And then you had Bill Maher, who at the time was in his 40s, talking about how he wanted to whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
With this person who's barely 18, I guess, or whatever.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying that those girls are wrong for wearing those outfits or that they should have to feel that, but we do live in a world where that is a reality. And so that's what worries me. Like, I can't...
What's the reality?
That people will objectify them.
Yeah, but I just think that's a terrible strategy for women. Like, who cares? If a dudes are gonna objectify you anyway, whether it's you're buck ass naked in the middle of the street, or it's you're completely covered up in 110-degree weather, and your little eyelets are showing, they will objectify that. I mean, some of these dudes they take that animal shit literally. Like, they take that shit literally, that we're just animals. So, like I get it. But at the time, like, Britney Spears was older than me at the time. So when I was watching this shit, I'm like, I didn't really understand, like, how fucked up it was that Bill Maher was saying this about this. But now, like, I'm like, I tell you all the time, like, I see a 20-year-old, like, I think she's like 14, 15.
It's
so yeah. I don't like that. Part of me is like, it's weird, like, I don't understand, but whatever.
I mean, the same thing happens to me. Sometimes I'm like, I'll point somebody up, like, hey, look, that girl lives in our neighborhood. Why don't you guys go make friends with her? They're like, Mom, that girl's 24. We already talked to her. Mm-hmm. I'm like, wait, what? She's 24? I mean, I literally thought the girl was 15.
So that's why I'm saying, like, I think that your perspective is probably the more practically operable one. But like I said, like, this is what happened the first time one of our daughters got objectified by somebody in the neighborhood. And, you know, the conversations I had with the boys and the girls of that situation are radically different. You know, the conversation I had with the boys about that situation was, you cannot let somebody disrespect your sister without paying a serious price. What the fuck were you guys doing? So that was one conversation. But the next conversation I had with my daughter was, what was she, 14, 15? I said, sweetheart.
I think she was 13.
I said, sweetheart, starting to develop. And a lot of these dudes do not have the instruction and training that your brothers have. Mm-hmm. A lot of these dudes, their dad isn't home and they're just listening to rap videos all day, and that's all they know how to talk to them. So you just got to understand, honey, that anytime that you walk into a room, they're going to look at you. You know, But it was a tough conversation because I was so angry, and I was like, I mean, y'all know how I am with my kids, especially the girls. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I was so happy when I had a girl because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be able to tell her this shit. I'm going to give her all the scoop. I'm not going to hold anything back from her. So I was like, yo, look, this is just going to keep happening to you. It's called the male gaze. It's just going to keep happening. And I want to give you some strategies to help you to overcome that. I said, listen, you have the right to wear whatever you want in public. You have the right to wear nothing in public if you want. Nobody has the right to objectify you and all the rest of it. You just have to understand that if you do wear that kind of clothing, people are going to get at you. You just got to know that. I'm not telling you how to dress. I'm not telling you nothing. I just want to give you the real tea. The real tea is this is going to happen over and over again for the rest pretty much of your natural life. She's they're beautiful kids. They're just objectively, they're extremely beautiful kids, and they're, you know, and she exercises and shit. I mean, you know, so it's I'm looking at these lyrics. You know, I remember the answer I finally found. My future is you. Say my name. I'll hug you tight. Like, I find myself stressing out a lot at night, thinking about the girls, who they're going to end up with. Are people going to take advantage of them? You know, is the person going to have our paradigm as far as, you know, protection, provision, like all those things. And I don't want my girls hurt and all. It's just, it's tough. It's very, very tough. And that's why, like, I'm listening to this crazy, consistent, you know, feminist, to try to get more of an understanding. Because I feel like a lot of the shit that I'm reading and hearing right now is like curated through all these, we don't want to hurt these people, we don't want to hurt that people. So I'm like, I don't really know. Like, you've thought too much about that sentence to actually contribute anything of any real human value. So that's why I like this girl, because she doesn't care about intersectionality. She doesn't care about, you know, she doesn't care about not hurting people's feelings and all that shit. And it gives me a real, like, okay, here's a raw sort of combative feminism that I do think can have some real practical benefits for women. I think the 4B thing is honestly a little bit embarrassing, because women are not going to be able to keep that up, especially over there, and dudes are just going to use that to spike the football. Like I wish there was some. I'm not going to go there, but one of the things that's important to understand, ladies, is that you have got to know your enemy. You have to. If you believe that men are the problem, and, you know, outside of a Christian worldview, they're absolutely the problem, then you got to get into a certain kind of mind state. All right. 9.1 for me.
I liked this song. I liked the lyrics of it. I thought it was great. I mean, I like relationship stuff, and I thought that the way that this one was it was kind of cool. I ran away countless times just out of fear, leaving you waiting at the starting line. The Morse code amidst the ruins, an old promise, not knowing the reason of my tears. And then he says, you and I under the starlight promise before our dust-piled crown. I loved the way, like, the dream carved in my soul. I don't know, just the way that it was...
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty sounding, and it was, like, sort of, like, mesmerizing in a way. And then, like, obviously, like, Deja Vu. I love the concept of Deja Vu. I love the moments of deja vu that when I get, like, with you, like, I have moments like that. I've had a lot of moments like that. And then he says, in the flaming rain that's burning me, within that long eternal journey, the sadness we shared is my clarity. I think I always thought that, like, romantic love or love in general should never be sad. It should only ever be happy. It should only ever be good. And if there was anything beyond that, like, there's a problem. It could be controlling. It could be, like, on the, like, the harder side of things. Like, it could be, like, stuff like that. But I didn't think there should be any. But then, you know, like, I guess as you age or as you're in a, like, a long-term relationship with somebody that you really do love, like, I don't know, like, I think I'm open to realizing that part of love is experiencing an array of emotions with each other and, like, loving and feeling and seeing each other through those. So you can't throw off sadness, and you can't, there are all those emotions you're going to experience. And, like, my way of, like, sort of, like, prosecuting those things has always been to, like, pretend they didn't exist or not really look at them, and just, like in my first marriage, we would never fight. If there was something that bothered me, I would either, like, kind of, like, just throw it out there and then, like, hope it was gonna stick and something would change or whatever. There was only a few things that I, like, really put my foot, like, out there to be like, okay, this is how it's gonna be, and like, there was no real depth to that, because when you come, like, face to face with somebody else's reality, and your reality and their reality is, like, push and pull back on each other, and you realize, like, okay, like, you're this and I'm that, and we're pushing forward together, like, this is us. Like, I think that there is a sort of romantic, beautiful side to, like, knowing where somebody else's lines are and letting somebody else know where your lines are, and then going through that process of, like, hey, you hurt me or I hurt you, and, like, we still love each other, and, like, you don't want, like, nobody, I think, wants to, like, if you really love somebody, wants to actually, like, hurt somebody, but those things do happen in relationships. And so I liked that it was kind of like he put that in there, like, it wasn't all, like, just, like, this perfect romantic-y sort of, like, perfection, but there was, you know, like, it seemed more real to me, a little bit more authentic for a sort of love song. And then I did like when he kept saying, like, under the veil of light, I'll hug you, as promised on the first day. I liked those lines too, because there is, when you're first with somebody, the way that you hug each other, there's something really significant about it, because you don't see all the person's flaws yet. And when you're hugging the person, you're like, you accept everything about them because you don't actually know what you're accepting yet. And I think that sort of hug and that sort of tightness is is like really cool, but so is like after years and after time, like the hug that you give after all of that, like, okay, I'm still hugging you and you're still hugging me, and I see more who you are and you see more who I am. And like when somebody hugs you after they've seen like some of your shit and who you are, like the first hug is beautiful and it's wonderful and it's awesome, but so is the hug that's after X amount of years. Because I know now that when you hug me, it's not because you're like completely flabbergasted by who I am and you think that I'm a perfect person. Like, I know that you see my flaws, and I know that there are things about me that you don't like, or things about me that hurt you or whatever, but you still hug me and I still hug you. Like, I just thought that I think it was like a more mature sort of understanding of love, and I liked it.
Yeah.
9.8 for me.
I don't believe the 4B movement can survive, and it's not because it's women doing it. If men did it, I'd say the exact same thing. So it's not that I don't think, the women aren't strong enough to do that. What I'm saying is there's a reason that there's no society of men who excluded women either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I think XBM's diagnosis is on point. 4B cannot survive until they create a philosophy outside of gender grievances. Correct. Why? 4B is secular. But it is antithetical to secularism's ideal of evolution and self-preservation. Mm-hmm. Correct. It's philosophical purgatory. And I would, evolution, self-preservation, as well as a propagation of the species, which is the name of the game in evolutionary game theory. So, I'm constantly saying this, whether you say it's God or nature selected that the way to progenate the human species is through the union of male and female Homo sapiens with their respective gametes. So the 4B idea, if they're saying we're going to take a time out for 2 or 3 years, makes a lot of sense. I get it. Mm-hmm. But what they're talking about is literally upending something that is most fundamental to human nature.
Yeah.
And so that's why I know on its face it's going to fail. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that think about this logically. What do you think would happen if you had a village of women who really found a way to create a society and an economy where they truly didn't need men anymore? What do you think the men would do? You think the men would be okay with
Black Wall Street all over again?
There's another village over there, so if my wife gets out of line, she can talk back to me and then just flee to the village? One of the reasons I don't think 4B would work is because if it actually did start to gain some traction, those women would get slaughtered. Mm-hmm. Because I know the violence that is inside the heart of a man. And women do not have the capacity to exercise violence at that level and that consistently. Dudes can barely do it.
The other thing is, whatever you view about men and their violence at this point, that's with the female energy still being in the vicinity. You've said it before that women have a civilizing effect on men. So if all the women pull themselves out of society and go over here, then whatever violence level they were at, it's going to be worse.
Yeah, dudes are violent.
Mm-hmm.
If I say I'm the protector, I'm not saying I need to protect her or my daughters from other women. It's like this trans thing. We're like, well, are you worried about a trans man going to the bathroom with your sons? No. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm not at all. I'm not worried about a trans man going to the bathroom with my sons. I do have a problem with a biological man going to the bathroom with my daughters, though. Yeah, so I just think that that 4B thing is just bound to fail because it's a complete denial of your human nature. My Runaway Siren 940 is a lesbian, mm-hmm. like a lesbian. Like mm-hmm. she uses the term repulse when she talks about men and sex, etc. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's easy for her to live this little 4B dream, but what are the girls going to do when they start feeling randy? It's just such a weird.
You
It's just
know,
so strange to me. Like
this is interesting.
it's.
You brought up the bathroom situation. No, you don't feel the same way if a trans man goes into the bathroom with your sons. Interestingly enough,
Yeah, somebody's born a biological woman.
I
still
think it's safer for everybody if they stay in the bathrooms that they were assigned at birth, because I do think that a trans male is in danger in a men's bathroom. And that has happened before when the trans men go into the men's bathroom, or they're in a, remember that one girl, we were hearing her whole story where she got separated from, because they started transitioning her socially, and then they started transitioning her. Then she got separated from her family, and then she was in a system. Then they put her on the boys' side, and she got assaulted over and over and over, even though she was a trans male. So I do think that it's safer. Even like I would rather have, I know people that are close to me that have transitioned to be male. But I still think that person would be better in the female bathroom than going into the male bathroom.
and like.
So I think
these conversations. These
say,
conversations are always so hard to navigate because you're trying to question. So, for example, Sadie's like, "I can be violent." Jet's like, "I can be violent."
Yeah, but to the degree.
You guys do not have the capacity to bring about the kind of destruction that a man does. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why Ronda Rousey and none of them girls are fighting men in the UFC. Mm-hmm. Ladies, I am not saying you can't be violent. The vast majority, the women going into the abortion, it's all women. That's a violent act. Mm-hmm. So they're taking part in violence. What I am talking about is if I decided, like Anna Kasparian, she talked about it. She's walking her dogs. She's a girl boss, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And she got caught up by two dudes and she couldn't do anything about it. Women do not understand the gap mm-hmm. in ruthlessness and just pure raw physical strength mm-hmm. between us and them. They don't understand it until they felt it. Mm-hmm. So I understand, Jet, all of you guys can get guns, blah, 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 blah. But it's a lot different because of the way we're socialized and how we evolved based on our particular roles. So, okay, time will tell if the 4B movement survives. Like, that's the cool thing about it, is that, we can watch it. And if you guys think that they're going to create some Handmaid's Tale thing and all that, okay. All right, let's see it.
The other thing, too, is that when men get violent, they usually take their violence toward wherever the problem is. There's so many times where I've talked to women personally, I've heard their stories, where they've been assaulted or something has happened to them at the hand of a man, and the way that they react to it is self-harm. So when they get violent, it's turned on themselves.
The only women right now that default to violence are trans women. I don't see it in any of these women's march, women choking out dudes, putting their hands on their necks, spitting on them, throwing shit out. I don't see women doing that. I did see that happen to Posey Parker, though.
Yep.
With the trans women.
Jeez.
That had their... So,
come on.
Like, it's just... It's not even... You assume all violence has to be physical strength. You're counting on social conditioning. What do you mean I'm counting? I'm counting on history, Sadie. Mm-hmm. Who's responsible for 98% of the sexual assaults in America? Who's responsible for 90% of the domestic assaults in America? Dudes are violent. And we're trained that way. Mm-hmm. Especially in... But like I said, let's see it. The girls are going to get together in Korea. They're going to have a nice little lesbian compound. And then them dudes, they're just going to sit there. They're going to let that happen, man. They're just going to let that happen. Mm-hmm. They're going to not have sex. They're going to we got to respect the girls, man. That's what they're going to do. Okay. I think the point getting lost is women want men to step up and listen to what we're asking for. That's my ultimate problem mm-hmm. with the 4B movement, because it is abandoning the conversation. Mm-hmm. It's quitting. It's giving up. It's nihilism. I mean, you heard Sadie say it. She said, man, we don't care about propagating the species. We're talking about our individual lives. Cool. I get that. And if you're not a Christian, cool. I'm just saying that means we're admitting that what we're talking about here is against our nature. Mm-hmm. It's the reason why the conversion therapy for gay people doesn't work. It's against their nature.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all I'm saying. But look,
and
I've been around violence all my life. I've seen every form of violence there is to see. You guys, Sadie's had every experience in the book, man. I mean, there's literally there's no experience I've had that Sadie hasn't had. So maybe you've seen this for years, Sadie. These women, when I'm talking about when dudes decide they're going to impose themselves on a woman, you've seen this consistently where women are just able to go, I know Taekwondo. Okay, all right. Me personally, I'm going to tell my daughters, I'm going to pack them out with mace. I'm going to say, hey, you got a box cutter on you. There's a reason women walk around with mace, and it's not because they could square up with dudes and go at it, man. My thing is, whatever the philosophy is, it has to be practical. I agree with Mud. We need to stop and listen to each other. This whole thing where you're taking your ball and you're going home, honestly, it's kind of childish. Mm-hmm. And as XBM said, we cannot propagate the species with that mentality. So obviously, it's doomed to fail. But I do think. My point, Miss Mudd, is if all you guys go off into your compound on your island, then how are we going to work it out? Because we got real beefs and real grief. When I say women have real beefs and real grievances. As I said, I think, for example, forms of financial independence would be a form of separatism for women. Mm-hmm. It's one of the reasons. I mean, I'm not really doing much of this for my sons. I mean, the message my sons get is you got to make your own way, bro. Mm-hmm. But my girls don't have that message. They're just not going to be. They're not going to be in that situation. Mm-hmm. Period. They're not going to be in that situation. But I do think it would be foolish of men to say, look at this, it's doomed to fail, blah blah blah. I agree, it's doomed to fail. But the issue is, if women have been pushed to a point where they're taking a position that is literally against nature and against the entire point of existence in the first place, that must mean that they're in a really...
something is really wrong.
That they're fed up with something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it tells me.
Yeah.
When you push, and I know this because I've been there. I was there in 2020. I promise you, dear listener, I did not care if I lived or died in 2020. If somebody ever tried, a certain kind of group of people, if they tried any of my kids, I promise you, it would have been bad. So I have that to default to. Because I remember when I woke up and I said, any of these folks say anything sideways to me, they're getting it. I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. So I had that switch. Right? This is another thing. It's men have that switch, man. Mm-hmm. How many mass shooters are women? So dudes, we got to really stop and think. What is pushing and it's not 4 or 5 women now. We're talking about it. What kind of treatment are these girls undergoing that's pushing them to this level? And when you say oppression, I know exactly what a lot of you dudes are thinking. You're look at Afghanistan, blah, 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 blah. This is what happens when Western women complain about the treatment in Western society. They're you want to go to Middle East and blah, blah, blah. They'll put you in a hijab, blah, blah, blah. As if those are the only 2 options. Well, maybe the girls are saying, well, can we have another option where you're not constantly domestically abusing us, where we constantly don't have to have weapons just to go from our fucking the front door at work to my car. I don't have to be kitted out like a Navy SEAL. Maybe we can build...
When we get assaulted, it gets disregarded by the legal system and by everybody else around.
Right. Or when she gets pregnant, she's carrying a child because the name of the game is the propagation of the species and shit. Maybe we should salary her for that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's labor. Mm-hmm. Maybe our culture has a prevailing interest in pregnant and new moms being able to spend actual time with their children without falling into absolute financial ruin. I don't know what the situation's going on in Korea.
Yeah.
What I do know is if the girls have gone to that degree, that means we're not listening. And it's where we are right now with the whole battle of the sexist thing, and that's why, like, I love what Miss Mudd says. Why can't you guys just listen? Like, that's the real issue. The real issue is that we got to stop and listen. And look, I don't believe that it's all men's fault or it's all women's fault. This is what's going on right now in the manosphere, and then you've got the super lesbians on the other side that like genuinely hate men. My thing though is I don't think if a woman hates a man and a man is a misogynist that those are equivalent issues. Those are not equivalent because men have the power of the state and other things behind them to implement their biases, and women do not. I mean, honestly, the only thing they have the upper hand, and it's pretty significant, is a legal system relative to custody situations and things like that. But other than that, they're getting a raw deal, and we can ignore it if we want. You can ignore it if you want, but women were not created to be under anybody's foot, man. You know, that's what he said about Esau. Says that, you know, for a while his brothers will oppress him, but then he'll fight off the yoke and all the rest of it. Yep. Women, see, here's the thing: women don't need to be as violent and as capable of violence as we are to fuck up our entire culture. Mm-hmm. I am not saying that it's gonna fail, and so whatever. I'm saying it's gonna fail, but it's definitely gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt everybody involved, and at some level, there was a concession in the chat, like, this is not good for humanity, but it is good for them as individuals. Okay. So now as a dude, you got to be like, okay, these women are self-consciously saying the whole entire fucking species can go if this is how the dynamic is going to be. I think that's significant. And I think it's foolish that because I'm talking to the brothers here, because we're in an advantageous situation, and please stop listening to the incels and all the rest of it. We are in an advantageous situation. Yeah. We got to make sure that we stop and actually listen to what these people are saying. Okay? And Jet, I think it's wise to listen to the women in the chat. I'm from the Bronx, New York and shit. All I know is box cutters and whatever. Like the shit that I tell my folks, you shouldn't, you know, because my thing is like, it's much better to get in trouble than go to the hospital. So that's my mentality. That was my mentality, right? So it's good that you got Sadie, another woman in here who've, you know, they've been in the world. I'll just say that. Those aren't my stories to tell, but they've been in the world and they can give you some really good advice about safety, situational awareness, all types of shit like that. Hell, maybe we can do a show about that because it's.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
That's the problem that's going on with the battle of the sexist stuff that's going on the internet. These are legit grievances, but if we had the doctrine of original sin, we would be a lot more gracious with each other and a lot more willing to listen. I assume that I have misogynistic traits because of original sin. Nobody needs to convince me of that. What are the odds that you're part of the group that has the power? And what are the odds that your sinful nature is not going to interface with that such that it becomes pathological at some level? I am sure there are some graced individuals where that would not affect them, but I don't think that is me. I am sure I have misogynistic blind spots, whatever, that Christ needs to work on revealing. But my point is, when we're talking about having these discussions with each other, I do not have a standard that the person that I'm up against has to be completely perfect and make me feel good and whatever. Not to be insensitive, but do you think, not to be, this is like the longest review ever.
But do you guys think that someone who isn't attracted to men needs to be heading a 4B type group? I mean, she gets to have her sexual appetite, but what about the straight women? I thought that was funny because...
And that's why I mentioned that she was like a capital L lesbian. She's not bi, she's not, like, she's capital L lesbian. Go ahead.
I do think that that's important. I do think it's important to point that out because I think that if somebody that's heading up that movement is like, I am attracted to men, but I do think that this is the only way that we can make this movement work. I think that is worlds different than somebody that's like, I am not, like, she is explicitly, like, she's not bi. she's not like, I am mostly there, but a little bit, like, she is completely against it. So I do think that she has a bias for, like, running headlong toward that direction. On top of that, she's, you know, if you're also the type that's saying no kids too, it's just, it's for me, it's a little bit hard for me to follow. Like, I totally get it. I understand the frustration and all that stuff involved, but simultaneously, I mean, I
love XBM.
I do agree. I mean, you've told us your bias. You know what I mean? Like, so you're obviously going to lead us in that direction.
That's like lactose intolerant.
It's a little bit harder to...
I'm lactose intolerant. I'm going to lead the anti-milk campaign.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Right, exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. So I was like... I missed the tail end of what you were saying because I saw that comment. I was like, oh, Lord.
Yeah, they're not talking about being unfazed, like being turned off that she's gay. He's saying, isn't it convenient that you have this orientation where you're not going to really sacrifice much?
So literally, she's going to be in a community of all the people that she's attracted to.
She's going to have to pick up the litter. And she's the leader. She's one of the leaders. So, I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry.
If it was a mom of 6, it would be a lot more impactful. If it was a mom of 6, it would be massively impactful. But if you're a lesbian with no children, like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, like, that shit, like, takes away from the actual thing that they're trying to communicate here, you know? So, yeah.
All right, we'll be right back.
I'm not even going to comment on that. We might give a silent count for this review. Just give the people the points and then we just keep it cracking. Keep it pushing. Listen, Runaway Siren 940. Hey, Shorty, you're going to see some subs pop up in your thingamajiggy here. We got to get Shorty on to have this discussion.
100%. I give this a 9.8.
Would you say 9.8?
Mm-hmm. I like this one.
I'm gonna give it a solid 9. Commercial break. We got one more song, dear listener. This was a crazy ass review. We got one more for you beautiful people. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone.